not everybody's got the balls to put a $5,000 microphone there, but that's not my microphone, so that's why it's there. Welcome to Ridin the Mix Bus with UBK. Episode 1. Where to stick those drum mics for extra flavor. If you like your drums clean and pristine, maybe head on back to Gear Sluts. Otherwise, stay tuned for some fat, dirty drums. What's going on? This is UBK. I'm going to show you today my favorite new minimal mic technique for the drum kit. And I'm going to show you where I've got all the microphones placed. There's 4, sometimes there's 6, but usually there's 4. And I'm going to let you hear what they sound like raw, and then give you a couple of different ideas for the directions you can take these in, because you can get some really different sounds out of drums if you apply some creative processing, and I'm going to maybe show you a few of my favorite things to do there. Anyway, onto the microphones. Let's start with the kick drum. Down here, this is a 60s made in Japan kit, by the way. I got this for $200 at a yard sale, and I use it on almost everything that I record for my own music. I freaking love it. This is a new Thomas Swingstar snare that I got maybe a couple months ago, and I love that. I adore it. Microphones, yeah. Kick drum. Down here we have the venerable Neumann M149 loaned to me by a dear, dear friend who was brave enough to put it on this side of the kick drum. He's braver than I am. You can see, if I get over here, that this is very close to the drum. I'm gonna say that that microphone is maybe 3 fingers away from the head, if that. And in terms of where it hits on the side, pardon the camera work here, one-man show, that microphone is even closer than it looks. It's literally an inch away from that beater as it swings by. Not everybody's got the balls to put a $5,000 microphone there, but you know, the kick drum beater doesn't really move around, so it's actually kind of a safe thing to do. At least that's what they tell me. But that's not my microphone, so that's why it's there. I love that microphone on that position because it captures, you'll hear it, it captures a very warm thud with a very distinct kind of vintage sound to it. This is kind of a jazz mic setup that I use. It's turned on by my friend Justin. Here we go. Down here we've got an old RE10. You've probably heard of the RE20. This is the RE10. This is another old microphone. And it's got a very crunchy, very mid-rangey, grainy sound to it. And I've got this set up on what you would conventionally call a side snare thing. And you can see the distance from the drum is a little bit more than a fist from the hoop. And that's the thing, is most of the time people tend to point these at the side of the shell. I've got this pointed actually at the bottom rim, and specifically at this lug here. Now there's nothing magical about that lug per se, except in this room, with the way that I play, that mic in that position captures an amazing, crunchy, stupid, old mid-range sound. It's like a time warp fader. Really, you push that fader up and the drums just sound older and older. Ignore that sound there. Professional operation here. And then, last but not least, on the mics that are always on the kit, there are the overheads. Oftentimes I'll have a pair of ribbon mics up here, old Coles 4038s, but lately I've really gotten into these Audio-Technica 4051As. I think there's 2 or 3 revisions of this particular pencil condenser. I like the A's, a friend turned me on to them, and I've been kind of hooked ever since. This one here is pointed, let me try to give you a mic's eye view of what this thing is pointed at. Right there. It's pointed at the space in between the hi-hats, the tom, and the snare. And then this other microphone is pointed, again, at the space between the ride cymbal, snare, and floor tom. And you can kind of monkey around with those a little bit, but I like those spots. I like what they capture there. It's kind of like this mic here is one side of the kit, and this mic is the other side. And the way that I tend to use them is more as cymbal mics. I'll show you what that means later, but anyway, there's one more mic. That is, if I pan around my setup here, and over, there's my workstation, and I've got an attack wall. And so what that is, that's a bunch of tube traps, a bunch of 9-inch diameter tubes that really, it's just insane how well they control the acoustics of the space. And the speakers are inside of that. I got my Pelonis, my NS10s, and old Auratones there. But if you come along the top of these tube traps up here, what have we here? We have laying on its side, back in the space behind these tube traps, a Coles 4038, and this is my room mic. And it's back here because it just captures a very low-end heavy response without a lot of cymbals. And you can bring out the mid-range and bite with EQ later on, but it's kind of a cool spot to put a microphone. It is about, I'm gonna say 10 feet away from the drum kit in a room that has no discernible live sound because there are no walls in here. This is all fabric. I took the drywall out of here and stuffed every stud space with Roxel Safen sound and then covered it with velour. Yeah, brown and orange velour, because that's how I like it. So this room is incredibly dry sounding, very 70s kind of thing. So you can put a microphone 10 feet away and it kind of sounds like it's not 10 feet away. And then you can smash the piss out of it if you want and get really cool textures. So with that said, over here, let's take a listen to a couple of different ways that we can treat these microphones to get some very different sounds.